Antifa protests are headed to Austin. It's October 16th, 2025, and these are your headlines. Governor Greg Abbott's deploying the Texas Department of Public Safety and the Texas National Guard to Austin ahead of nationwide No Kings protests planned for Saturday. The demonstrations are linked to Antifa-affiliated groups that have organized anti-Trump protests across the country. Abbott said in a statement today, "Violence and destruction will never be tolerated in Texas. I've directed DPS and the Texas National Guard to deploy all necessary personnel and resources to ensure the safety of Austin residents. Texas will deter criminal mischief and work with local law enforcement to arrest anyone engaging in violence or property damage." According to the governor's office, DPS troopers, special agents, and Texas Rangers, supported by aircraft and tactical units, will be surged into the Austin area. The state's Homeland Security Division is monitoring for possible links to extremist groups. The No Kings movement calls itself an anti-authoritarian protest, opposing what organizers describe as overreach under President Donald Trump. Similar protests in June drew crowds across the nation, including in some Texas cities. Abbott's latest order mirrors his earlier summer deployment when state police and guard troops were stationed around the Capitol. During prior unrest, President Trump recently designated Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. The state district judge has granted Attorney General Ken Paxton's request for an emergency restraining order against Malcolm Tanner, that's the Indiana man, accused of trying to take over Loving County by luring out-of-state voters with promises of free housing. The order bars Tanner and his associates from moving any new residents onto the property or dumping sewage that could contaminate groundwater. In a statement, Paxton said, "The show is over. This illegal and deceptive political sham must come to an immediate end. Malcolm Tanner is a two-bit charlatan trying to defraud people out of their money with false promises of free homes and unlawful government payouts." He went on to say, "Texas is for Texans, not out-of-state grifters trying to steal political power." Well, the court found Tanner's settlement violated the Texas Health Safety Code, creating immediate and irreparable injury to public health. Paxton's lawsuit accuses Tanner of running an unsafe and fraudulent settlement in Mentone, where dozens have been living in RVs and tents. Tanner, who calls his group Melanated People of Power, says he'll comply with the order, but insists his efforts are about protecting freedom. A hearing on whether to extend the order is set for October 31st.
Howdy, folks. It's Chris Salcedo from the Salcedo Storm podcast. You might know me from my TV show on Newsmax or my radio show on AM 700 KSEV in Houston. As a veteran broadcaster, author, and conservative political analyst, I've teamed up with Texas Scorecard to take a no-nonsense approach to the toughest questions Americans are wrestling with every day. Join me on the Salcedo Storm podcast, where I challenge the status quo and bring you fresh perspectives on the national, state, and cultural news. Tune in weekdays, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
A heated Houston City Council meeting this week forced a delay on a $16 million proposal to build a homeless super hub just east of downtown. Residents say city officials are ignoring their concerns. The proposed site once housed a Star of Hope shelter and later a migrant shelter until this August. The city says the property needs little renovation and could provide 150 to 225 beds with on-site medical, psychiatric, and addiction treatment services. The two-lot property is appraised at $6.7 million. City records show annual operating costs between $10 and $14 million. Officials describe the facility as a low-barrier navigation center, a centralized intake site where anyone can walk in and be directed to housing or recovery programs. At Tuesday's meeting, dozens of nearby residents packed City Hall, accusing leaders of pushing the project through without transparency. Councilwoman Twila Carter tried to calm the crowd, saying the project is not a shelter but a compass to connect people with help. And outside City Hall, journalist Wayne Dolcefino, now representing nearby residents, warned the plan could attract the worst of the worst, saying it threatens safety. Mayor John Whitmire pushed back, insisting the project will make the area safer with increased law enforcement presence. The council is expected to vote on the purchase next Wednesday, and Whitmire says the hub could open early next year. For more of today's stories, go to TexasScorecard.com.